Well, hello. I didn't plan to do this today, but I had some issues with the garden coming up, so I'll give people a few minutes to get in since this was not planned. I'm going to go ahead and get my coffee fixed too. Got my coffee, y'all. I had not planned on doing this today, but got two, looks like, watching. Say hello or something in the chat if you come aboard so I'll know you're here. I thought I'd just kind of, at the spur of the moment, go online and do a live just to discuss a problem topic with your plants in the garden. I wanted to get the information out there as soon as possible, and this was the quickest way I knew to do it, because if I tried to record a video, it would take probably the rest of the day to upload it, because I was having problems yesterday. It took me just about all day long to upload that one little video on picking cucumbers. I mean, that's insane. I think it's because my laptop is an old one and I have Windows 10 on it, and that's where I upload my videos to. And you know, they're phasing Windows 10 out, and I've been having a lot of problems lately, and I think it's because they're finally phasing Windows 10 out, and you've got to have Windows 11 to be able to do anything on the internet. So I'm looking to have to buy either a tablet or another laptop that has Windows 11, because my laptop is so old, it's not capable of running Windows 11 on it. So unfortunately, that's the way it happens, you know. And I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing the same thing. I gotta heat my coffee up. I left it sit there messing with the computer so long, it got cold on me. So bear with me. And I'm drinking coffee because my mom told me years ago, I remember on a really hot day, she said, I got to go cool off. We were working in the garden or the yard or doing something outside, and it was real humid because in North Carolina, I mean, you have almost 100% humidity all the time. And it can be 95 degrees with that humidity, and it feels like it's 125. So we went in the house, and I figured she'd get a glass of ice water or iced tea or something like that. Because that's the first thing I did was run to the sink and get me some cold tap water. And no, she fixed her a cup of coffee. And I said, Mama, why are you drinking hot coffee on this hot day when you said you're hot and you needed to cool off? Be right back. I've got to get my coffee. And she just plainly said that she grew up hearing everybody say, and even her mom and dad tell her, that if you want to cool off in the summer, in the hot temperatures, just to drink a hot cup of coffee or a hot cup of anything, and it'll cool you off. And I says, well, Mom, that doesn't sound right. It looks like it would make you hotter. But she said, no. It kind of tricks your body into thinking you're cold, because all of a sudden you got hotter temperatures in your stomach by drinking that really hot coffee. And your outside body feels cold because your stomach is hot all of a sudden. And I started doing it, and she's correct. That's exactly what happens. You drink that hot coffee, your outside temperature is, colder than your stomach because of that hot coffee, and all of a sudden you do feel cooler. So that's my tip on drinking hot coffee in the summertime. Oh, got 9 watching so far. That's good. Hello, Claire Quinn and Debbie. We've got Angie. I guess we've got some silent watchers because they're not going to say anything. Oh, Claire says she drinks coffee in the summer days too. Well, I found that it cools you off a lot more to drink that hot coffee than it does a cold glass of iced tea or ice water. Even though yesterday I was out mowing most of the day. I mean, my back finally got in place and I was not in pain as far as walking anymore. So I said, I'm probably pushing my luck. But I said, my yard needs to be mowed so bad. I'm running the risk of getting a ticket from the homeowners association because I haven't mowed my yard. Because we do have a rule that you can't let your yard grass get above 6 inches tall. And mine was a good 12 inches, or probably some of those weeds were close to 2 inches tall. I mean, I don't have really thick grass, so they let me slide. And I have a lot of flowers out there, so I get by with it. But yeah, I said I'm pushing my luck, and I don't want to see it anymore myself. So I got out there and mowed yesterday, and it took me most of the day, almost till dark, to get my yard mowed, because I'd mow part of it and then I'd have to take a break. It was so hot. I mean, I completely drenched my clothes in sweat. So I'd have to come in the house, cool off, rest a little bit, and then I'd go back out there and mow some more. Well, I did it 4 or 5 times. And every time I'd go out there and start mowing again, of course, my clothes were drenched in sweat again. But I said, I'm not changing because, not till I get through, because it'll happen every time I go outside. And I went outside this morning just a little while ago to put some ant poison out around the house. And just walking around the house, throwing out ant poison, I was sweating like crazy. I said, man, it's too hot out here to do anything today. See, we got 12 in here now. In 7 minutes, that's not bad since I didn't schedule this. And I turned chat on, but it seemed like every time that I go live, even though I turn the chat on, it doesn't give me the option to turn on chat replay. So when when people go to view the live video later, the chat's not up there. And once I think you publish the video and you don't have the live chat replay, you can't get it back. And I don't know what to do about that. The very first live I did, I started it on my computer. And that's probably what I should have done today. Because if you do it on your computer, it'll give you the option of choosing live chat replay. So, Claire Quinn, Brenda Woodson, Angela Culp, Debbie Rose. We got a good turnout since, hey, I didn't let people know about it. But I figured it was close to lunchtime. People need a break. Maybe they'll have a few minutes to watch some of it if they're working. Because they go to lunch. They can eat lunch while they're watching and listening. Right now, my zucchini plants are doing okay. Like I said, that last video that I posted, I've got a problem with those squash burrs or borers or whatever they call them, those worms. That's what's been bothering my plant. I noticed for a little bit after I picked my first squash that it wasn't producing squash anymore, and I didn't know why. And when I went out there and looked, it was because those squash borers had gotten into the stem and they were draining the life out of my plants. Well, usually way before now, like after my plants get up a pretty good size and before they start producing, I would always go around and water them with an insecticide. It's a concentrate. You only put a little bit in like a gallon or two or 3 gallons of water, and just water your plants with it. And that insecticide gets down in the dirt to the roots of the plant, and it kills all the bugs, the worms, and that type of thing. The plant will absorb part of it, so it protects the plant for a while. But you have to do it every so many weeks. And see, me being down with my back for so long, I didn't get out there and I wasn't able to put that insecticide to my plants. That's why those squash borer worms got to my plants this time. Because if you put that insecticide, it's the easiest thing to do. You don't spray it on, you water it on. You just mix it in your watering pail, according to the directions. I think you put maybe like an ounce to a 5-gallon bucket of water, and then just water your plants with it. You water the foliage, the dirt and everything. You can just put it on the dirt if you want. But if you notice any type of mites or anything getting on your leaves, you can just, take your watering can and water the whole plant with it, and it'll kill all the bugs. Plus, like I said, it soaks down in the dirt, and it kills the worms and the bugs that get in the dirt that get up into the plant itself. And see, I was bad about it this year. I was getting down with my back so much, I had so much going on that I didn't do that. For one, I couldn't find the one that I'd always used in the years past, and it was a Bayer aspirin, not a Bayer aspirin, but a Bayer product, like your Bayer aspirin. But Bayer puts out a lot of different insecticides and fertilizers and different things for your plants. And they had this insecticide that was formulated just for your vegetable garden. And it was a concentrate, and it was like $19 for like a 32-ounce bottle of it. But like I said, it's a concentrate, and you could dilute it down in water, and that one bottle would last a long time. Or if your garden was very big, you could water your whole garden with just that one bottle of insecticide. Well, when I went to the store to find it, they didn't have it anymore. And I talked to one of the guys in Home Depot about it. He said, oh, they pulled that off the market. We can't get it anymore because they don't want people using it on their vegetables. And I couldn't understand why. I'd always used it on mine years and years, and it worked fantastic. I produced so many zucchini, squash, and cucumbers. I was canning it. I was giving it away. And my son said, Mom, I don't believe that all that came out of your garden, as small as your garden was. But anyway, yesterday I got online and I started looking, and I did find a product that you could use that should be just as good as that one that was formulated just for the garden. And it's called Bio-Advanced Fruit and Citrus Concentrate. Well, I'd looked at several bottles of that stuff, and I said, well, that's for trees. It's not for my vegetable plants. And then I finally found one. It was in Amazon, I think it was, and they're supposed to deliver it tomorrow. That is not only fruits and citrus trees, but if you read on to the bottom, it tells you that it's also good for your tomato plants, squash, and all that stuff for your garden. So I immediately ordered it. And this one was $17.98 for that bottle before tax. And of course, I'm a Prime member, so they ship it for free. So I get it tomorrow. I'm going to start watering my plants with it, and I'm hoping that's going to get rid of that worm that's got into my squash plants before it spreads to other plants. I don't want it, my cucumbers, my winter squash, and everything else. I've already lost 3 plants to those worm borers, and I don't want to lose any more. So that's one reason I wanted to go ahead and do this live, so I could get the information out there to you, so you'd have time to go ahead and get it, because you should be able to get it at Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, any of those places, or a farm, a farm and cattle store. If you have one close in your area, they should have it. It might not be the Bear brand, but like I said, this one was not the Bear brand, but it's one that's just as good. And I think you can find a 7 Dust concentrate that you dilute down in water that's just as good. But I came across this one and I said, well, I'm getting it, I'm trying it, and hopefully it will save my plants. I don't want to lose any more. I worked too hard on them. And I've got my patty pan squash that are almost big enough to transplant. I've got my basil that's still alive, thank goodness, that's coming up from seeds. And I've got the rainbow tomatoes, and I've got the yellow pear tomatoes that have come up from seed. And so far they're surviving since I moved them and I put them in 2 inches of potting soil. So I've got more plants that I can replace some of those plants that died on me because of those worms. So I don't want to plant them and then lose them too. So I will treat them with this insecticide. I don't like using insecticide on my plants, but hey, when it comes to a fight against insects and worms that are going to devour your plant and just wipe them out, you better believe I'm going to get me some insecticide, and I'm going to wipe the bugs out and the worms out. They're not going to get my plants. I worked too hard on them, and I know you did too. So I've got neem oil, and I've tried it, but I didn't really like it, so I quit using it. And I've had other people tell me that you had to be real careful with neem oil because it will actually kill your plants, and that scared me. I said, well, I don't want to put anything on my plants that are going to kill my plants. So that's one reason I don't use the neem oil anymore. Yeah, neem oil will kill the bugs, but you run the risk of it killing your plant right along with it. I lost a bunch of watermelon plants last year, and I think it was beans and some other plant that I sprayed down with neem oil because of those mites getting on the leaves, and it was just spreading everywhere, and it started killing the plant. So I finally, what I did, and I probably should have just left the plant there, I pulled the whole plant out. I said, well, I'm not going to let them infest the whole garden. So I just won't use neem oil anymore. I mean, but you can do what you want. I mean, you may get a neem oil, and if it's mixed right, that it works fine. I just had a bad experience with mine, so I'd rather go back to something I know that has worked in the past, and it produced a really pretty plant using it. So, see, Suffolk says, I sprayed neem oil on my beans in the morning and the sun burned all the leaves off. That's exactly what happened to me. And it was not only with the beans, it was with the watermelon. I had a huge watermelon vine that was, it had egg-sized watermelon on it. I sprayed with neem oil thinking it was going to kill the mites that got on the leaves, so, keep them from destroying the plant. And it killed all the leaves. So I said, I don't want to use something that's going to kill all the leaves on my plants. I ought to know that's going to happen. That's the reason I keep that phone close when I'm on a live or doing a video, because I know someone's going to call me while I'm on live or when I'm trying to do a video. And 100% of the time it's a salesperson, because I don't get phone calls on my home phone anymore. It's all salespeople wanting you to enroll in something. And the only reason I kept the home phone was to get the internet package where you get your internet, home phone, and television all combined at a lower price. So I locked myself into having the phone, but I said I should just disconnect the phone and just forget about it, even though I'm paying that little fee to have it every month. But one reason I leave it is because a lot of my family still have the old home phone number. And even if they have my cell phone number, 9 times out of 10, if they call me, just by reflex, they're going to call me on the home phone. So that's one reason I kept it. Or I didn't unplug it, put it that way. Voice to text spelled Nemo funny. Probably. But I know what you meant. Yeah, Claire wanted to know if neem oil would kill the bugs. Yeah, it'll kill the bugs, but it'll probably kill your plant too in the process, because that's some pretty powerful stuff. And I mixed it just like they said mix it on the directions, and it didn't work for me. So, and that's what one of the sales reps in the store told me. He said, because I was looking at it another time when I was trying to find the bear insecticide that I'd used in the past that they took off the market. I was looking at neem oil, just reading the instructions, even though I had bought some in the past and didn't like it. I was reading on it because it was a different package. And the sales rep saw me looking at it, and he said, "You don't want to buy that." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "No, it'll kill your plants." So there you go. My neem oil is sitting in my shed. I haven't used it since last year. Don't intend to. Not unless it's an old weed that I don't care if it kills the plant. Maybe, hey, that's an idea. You got weeds in your yard and you want to kill them, don't get weed killer. Just get neem oil and spray them. The neem oil will kill them. Maybe. Yeah, I like them too, and I love all my plants in them, and I don't want to lose my plants after working so hard to get them all planted in my garden. And I think that's probably why those Asian cucumbers, the ones that get so long, they're about a foot long. I've got 2 on the vine, but yet the one of them, the first one that came on there, started turning yellow. And that's one of the signs of a bollworm getting in your stem. Is first, I think the fruit starts to turn yellow, like it's getting too much water. The leaves will start turning yellow. And then all of a sudden you'll start seeing signs on the stem of the plant close to the dirt where the worm has been penetrating the stem. And you'll see all that brownish stuff on the outside. And that's nothing but worm poop. That's where the worm has been eating away at your plant and then pooping on the outside of it. So you know he's there, or several are there. I did spray them yesterday with what insecticide I had, hoping that would kind of slow them down until I get this other concentrate that I told you about, to where I can just water them with that tomorrow when I get it. If I get it early enough in the day, it might be Sunday before I get to water them with that poison. This year, Claire, this is your first year to garden, and I have trouble telling what are weeds and what are your plants. Well, yeah, I had that problem too in the beginning when I first started, unless it was a plant that I knew what it looked like, knew what the leaves looked like. So my suggestion to you is kind of let them both grow together for a little bit until the plants get big enough that you know which one is the weed and which one is your plant, and then you can carefully pull out those weeds. Because you get weeds in your garden and in your totes and buckets even after your plant is a big plant, and you know for sure it's a weed coming up in there, and you pull them out. So you can be careful and pull them out later. Yeah, I'm feeling lots better. I had went to that emergency clinic out here just to get some painkiller and something to relax my muscles so I could get my back popped in myself, which I've done millions of times before. but without the painkiller or the muscle relaxer. But guess what? They wouldn't give me nothing. They said, you'll need to go to your doctor to do that. I thought to myself, well, why is this clinic here? You know, I can't get in to see my doctor today. This is the weekend. And he always told me if I, had a problem and couldn't get in to see him, to go to the clinic that's open 7 days a week. And I couldn't even, by the time I walked in the clinic, all I could do was sit down. And when I got ready to leave, they had to bring a wheelchair out and push me in the wheelchair to my car for me to drive home. Now, ain't that something? Yeah, they said, well, without a diagnosis, we can't give you a prescription for anything. I thought to myself, what if somebody come in here bad hurt or had bad allergies and they were in anaphylactic shock or something? You telling me you couldn't give them nothing? If that's the case, there's no purpose in having a clinic. You'd be better off just going to the emergency room at the hospital. And in fact, that's where they told me to go. Well, I left there, I drove home, and I never went either place because they said it would take me about a week to get in to see my doctor because you got to have an appointment. So I said, I'll just do it myself. So through trial and error, ice packs, heat, ibuprofen, I finally got my muscles to relax enough that I got it popped back in. And so I'm doing fine today, thank goodness. Yeah, cinnamon will work, but I'm not sure cinnamon will get rid of the worms. Those worms are pretty ferocious characters. And I remembered right from day one that I started planting my garden. As soon as my plants started coming up, I would buy that concentrate insect killer and I mixed it with water and I'd go around and spray not spray them, but water each plant good with that insecticide mixture. And I never had any problem with worms getting in my plants. I really never had any problems with mites getting on the leaves or anything as long as I did that. But they pulled it off the market a couple of years ago, and I haven't used anything else. And ever since, I've been having trouble with the mites and all this other stuff. So that's the reason I said, well, I'm going to try this. Even though it's for fruit and citrus trees, it also says it's good for your vegetable garden, for the worms, the bugs, you name it. So I'm going to try it, and if it works, I'm going to continue using it every time I have a garden. You just have to remember to repeat it every, 2 or 3 weeks or so to keep the bugs away. But yeah, I never had any problem as long as I used that concentrate bug repellent. Never had any problem with bugs on my plants before. But yeah, you can see why I wanted to go on and get on here and tell everybody about it, because I don't want you to lose your plants. I had one person, I don't remember the name, they commented on one of my videos, I think it was yesterday or day before, and they were telling me that they were having a problem with the worms getting in their squash plants, and they wanted to know what to do. And I told them about BT, which you can use it, but this concentrate is better, because the BT, I don't know if you can get the kind that you mix with water, that you just water the plants with. I think you just spray that on, I'm not sure. But it does work good if you spray it on. But if that squash borer worm is already inside that stem, it's not going to get rid of him by spraying the outside of it. You've got to water it with insecticide. It'll be absorbed through the roots, and it'll get up in that stem, and as that worm continues to eat, he'll eat that insecticide and it'll kill him. So you might save your plant that way. And that's why I wanted to get on here and go ahead and do this, as quick as possible, so you would know what to do to get rid of that worm that's eating your squash plants alive. I'm glad you caught me alive too, just a Southern girl. Yes, I dehydrate vegetables and I freeze them, but like I said, my old freezer went out, my deep freeze, and I've never replaced it. All I have now is the freezer to the top of my refrigerator, which is not very big, and I usually keep it crammed full all the time. But I do dehydrate. I didn't have any vegetables really to dehydrate last year except melons, and I did make cantaloupe candy in the dehydrator. Um, I made cantaloupe leather, as they call it, which is like, the fruit roll-ups. I think that's what they call them. And I did dehydrate peppermint last year, and I did dehydrated basil, which I've been using my basil all year, seasoning my recipes with, and I've been using my peppermint as well. So if you don't have a big freezer or don't have a place to put a freezer, get you a dehydrator and dehydrate your food. And I did dehydrate some cucumbers. I made cucumber chips, as they call them, and squash chips, and they were pretty good. I didn't have many because, like I said, my garden, it was 105 and 110, 15 degrees last summer, and it was really dry, so a lot of my garden didn't survive. Oh, Just a Southern Girl says I dehydrate everything I can. Yeah, I did too last year, and I'll probably dehydrate or either can a lot of stuff this year if my garden produces that much. If I can get rid of these worms so they don't kill my plants so I don't get anything. Just a Southern Girl says her plants don't look good. Well, I don't know what the problem is. If you're watering them with compost tea, you might need to use a little bit of fish emulsion. I use that on mine, or get some type of, I don't know, you can even use Miracle Grow if they look very bad. But it's probably because they're not getting enough nutrients. There's something that they're liking. I even put a spoonful of baking soda, not baking soda, but Epsom salts to my plants. You'd be amazed what Epsom salts will do. Or what I'll do, I'll mix fish emulsion and Epsom salts in my compost tea bucket that I'm going to be watering with, and I'll go ahead and water so they not only get the food from the compost tea, but they get the fish emulsion and they get the Epsom salts to give them a boost. And it helps tremendously. I did that to my blueberry bush because either the soil was not acidic enough or it was too acidic, and if you put a little bit of Epsom salts in it, it'll balance it out. And my little plant started putting out green leaves after that. So I said, well, I guess I did the right thing by giving it some Epsom salt. So Epsom salt's great for your garden. It's not only good to take a bath in and soak your body in, but it's good to water your plants with it. They love it. No, I know about diatomaceous earth, but I've never used it. I've never tried it. I always thought it was kind of expensive for just a little bitty bag of it. So I never bought it. I mean, I'd need quite a few bags to go all through my garden, to protect my plants. So it's more cost efficient for me to get the concentrate that I can dilute down in water and just water my plants. Yeah, I know people do buy that diatomaceous earth. They put it in playgrounds, where children are playing because it's safe for them. And it keeps the bugs off the rocks that they walk around in most playgrounds. And they do put it to their gardens. But like I said, I mean, you don't get very much for a small bag. So, and I don't know how many bags it would take to put that earth all over my garden. In each bucket, each tote, each pot that I've got something growing in. It would take quite a few bags of it. So I guess if you got the money to spend, diatomaceous earth would be good. But I don't have the kind of money to buy as many bags of that stuff as I would need to go in my garden, so I haven't bought any. Yeah, it just depends on your budget. If you got the money to spend, there's a lot of things out there you can buy to kill the bugs and keep your plants healthy. But, I'm limited on my budget, so I have to watch what I spend. So I can only allow so much to spend on insecticides and stuff like that. That's one reason I started composting in place and, building my own totes with my own homemade soil, because there's no way I could afford to buy enough potting mix to fill all my pots and totes in my pots to grow my garden in. I mean, I'm not a wealthy person, so I couldn't afford to do that. You have a small container garden. Well, see there, if you have a smaller garden like just a Southern Girl has, then you could use the diatomaceous earth, because you wouldn't need to buy 20 bags of it. Claire Quinn says, I bought a little cones to protect my wheat seedlings at Dollar Mall. Well, I found, like I've told you in one of my other videos, every time I planted the seed for my basil, my grain mode tomatoes, and my yellow pear tomatoes, those seedlings would come up, every one of them. I mean, it looked pretty. And then I'd go out there the next day and every one of them had disappeared. But I was planting them in my homemade compost in place soil. And it was literally the insects in the dirt that was killing the seedlings, because I didn't put potting mix in the top. So that last time that I planted them, I went to the store and I just bought a little $3 bag of potting soil. I think it was at Dollar General. They have like a small bag for like $3. I bought that, brought it home, and I put about 2 inches of that potting mix in the very top of each one of those pots that I had planted those seeds in. And then I put my seeds in it and watered it down. They've come up now and they've been up for days and they're growing and no bugs have bothered them. So, and plus I moved them to where they get partial shade during the day because they're under the patio now. So hopefully they're going to get big enough for me to transplant pretty soon. So they'll have time to produce anything. But yeah, that worked. That did the trick for me. I moved them into a place under the patio where they only get shade half a day. They get sun part of the day. And then I put 2 inches of potting soil in the very top of the pot and then planted the seed in the potting soil. So that worked for me. Just a Southern Girl says you got ate up today. What, you got ate up with bugs or what? I must have missed some comments. Yeah, you can put like cut the bottom out of a plastic cup or any type of container that you can end up with a round ring that you can cut the top and the bottom out of and place over your seedlings. That helps. But if the seedling has already got the bugs right at the plant, you're not going to keep them out because they're already inside the little ring that you put down. So you're still running the risk of losing that seedling. Now, if your seedling is up a couple of inches and you just put a ring around it to keep those, what do they call them? The roly-poly bugs and some other kind of worms that get to the little seedlings and just cut them off. They don't eat them, they just cut the stem off. You'll go out there and look and your plant is fell over, laying there dead, and the thing was just chopped off. Well, you can put a ring around that, your plant, And it'll keep those little roly-polies and those other bugs from getting in there to do that. And that does help. I try to wait until my seedling is big enough to transplant, so I don't have to put a ring around it. Mosquitoes, yeah. Like late in the evening here now, right at the edge of dark, I could go in my backyard and the mosquitoes will cover me if I don't spray down with a mosquito repellent. And I don't know why, because I don't have standing water. Like I told you, even in the buckets that I catch the runoff compost tea from my totes and my pots to reuse it, I keep that emptied into 5-gallon buckets, or I re-water something with it so it's not standing, so it's not making mosquitoes. So I don't know where all the mosquitoes are coming from. Oh, I will, Just a Southern Girl. I didn't realize. Yeah, I think I've already subscribed to your channel. If I haven't, I will. But yeah, I'll watch your video and see what you did. I always like to get tips from other gardeners. I don't know it all. I'm still learning on a lot of it, and I've been gardening for years, so I'm not 100% on gardening. I don't claim to be. I just do the best I can. And if I do something and it works, I try to pass it on to someone else. Yeah, we've had a lot of rain off and on for the last couple of weeks, and it's caused quite a few mosquitoes. Because I think even if you don't have standing water in your yard, the water gets on big leaves and different things in your wooded areas around your house, and just those little puddles of water will breed mosquitoes. You don't think it would, but it does. Just a Southern Girl. Thanks. No tips from me. I'm just learning. Like I said, I've been gardening for years, and I'm learning too. I'm still learning. I mean, I go through trial and error. And if something works, then I pass it on to everybody else and let them know what I tried and what works and what didn't work. So at least you'll have that little bit of information out there. And that's one reason I went ahead and started my channel. I said, well, I figured out how to grow things in Texas. And it's not my fault they pull my insecticide that I always use that works so good off the market. And I still don't understand why when they got all this other insecticide out there. But I will get this fruit and citrus concentrate that's made also for your garden. And I'm going to have at it with those worms and bugs this weekend, I promise you. Because if I can get rid of them before they get rid of my plants, I'm going to do it. I work too hard for them to eat my plants and kill them. Yeah, I've got a lot of buckets from Dollar Tree, but I finally ended up with so many. I use them mostly for the runoff of my totes to recycle my compost tea. Because let's face it, once you build your compost tea, you water your totes with it, you don't want it just to run on the ground and water the grass. If you can catch it and reuse it, why not? It's only going to be beneficial for you and your plants. You use less water that way. Plus, you get all the nutrients that come through that tote and the compost soil that was in that tote, in that compost tea that you can recycle and rewater your plants with. Plus, if you want to, you can add, like I said, you can add fish emulsion. If you're not putting fish in your compost tea, you can put any other type of plant fertilizer that's a concentrate that you can mix in your compost tea and go ahead and use that with it. I mean, anything that you can put in there that's going to feed your plants and help them grow and produce is going to be to your benefit. So y'all getting tired of listening to me? You got places to go, things to do, let me know. Because I've already got on here and told everybody what I needed to tell them. So if they do watch this video, even if they're not on my live, at least they'll have that information. So, and then it's up to them what they do with it. You know, they don't have to take my advice, but I'm just letting you know from experience what has happened with my garden and how I've kind of rectified the situation and what I use to rectify it with. Oh, the Dollar Tree has soil bags. I haven't tried their soil bags. Like I said, I've been taking my potting soil bags, the plastic ones, and I've just been cutting holes in the bottom of them. So when you fill them full of soil or, you know, garden soil or whatever you're putting in there, and you have a plant growing, when you water, the excess can go out the bottom. And I've planted a tomato in one last year, and it grew something awful. You should have seen that tomato plant. I mean, the roots grew out the bottom of the bag, went into the soil, and it was watered by me watering the bag because the excess water would go out the bottom of the bag. And those roots kept growing, and that tomato plant just grew, and it was so healthy looking. And when I cleaned up the garden last year, I realized why that tomato plant did so well. Because the roots went so far deep into the ground through the bottom of that bag. I mean, it was amazing. So I said, I'll never mind using a plastic bag like a potting soil bag. Just remember to cut the holes big enough in the bottom that it can, you know, the excess water can drain out. And if those roots want to go out and go in the ground, they can. And you'll be amazed at how that plant will grow. I was really surprised at it. And that might be one reason why my potatoes haven't been producing any more than what they have. I mean, those first potato plants that I pulled up, I only found one little bitty potato on it. And I think maybe it's because bugs or something have been getting to my roots of my potatoes, and that's why I haven't been getting any potatoes. I haven't pulled up any in the bags yet, so I don't know how they're doing. But I'm going to water them with that insecticide as soon as I get it and see what happens. Suffolk Susie says, I have a great gardening weekend. I'm heading over to Just a Southern Girl. Y'all live close together, or do you mean you're going over to watch her videos? I don't know if she heard me or not. Yeah, it helps. I mean, anytime you can correspond or visit another gardener, it's good because you can always pick up tips. You know, maybe that other gardener has a tip of something that they've done and it really worked good for them that I don't know about. And that's a great way to kind of compare notes, so to speak, and learn as you go. Yeah, when I end my live, I'm going to head over to Just a Southern Girl, and I'm going to take a look at her video and see what she's doing. Oh, Gladys, hi there. How are you doing? I've only got 16 watching now. But I mean, that's not many, but like I said, I just wanted to get on here quick and do this live so I know it would be published before midnight tonight, and people could get, you know, the little tips that I'm sharing to help save some of your plants if you got the worms in them like I did. Jody Jackson, hi. Hi there, Jody. Welcome aboard. You're listening. Are you gardening too? Do you have a garden this year? Yes, I did, and I've still got a bunch of it left. In fact, I ate a little bowl of it for my breakfast this morning. Can you believe that? How's that for a good breakfast? A bowl of banana pudding. I tell you what, if you've never tried making that banana pudding the way I did, you need to try it. It's the easiest thing in the world. Leave it set for at least an hour or two before you try to eat any of it so that custard has a chance to soak into those vanilla wafers. And it's like eating moist cake when they absorb that custard. And that is some good banana pudding. You just have a few tomato plants. Well, that's okay. I started out with just a couple of tomato plants and a couple of pepper plants. And I have to admit, I don't have many hot pepper plants this year. I don't know what the problem is. I've got to maybe get some more seed that I've got dried here and plant some more hot pepper seed because I want some hot peppers out there. Those hot peppers, even if you don't like to eat them, will help keep the ants and other bugs away from your other plants. Basil is another good thing to plant, you know, around, especially around tomato plants. It helps keep the worms and the bugs away. Marigolds are another one, companion plant to plant in your garden that helps keep bugs and insects away. Gladys's son is going to watch my video and try it. Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, I know some of you said I'm going to be fat when I eat all that banana pudding. I'm already fat. I've gained so much weight, it's unreal. And that's the first banana pudding I probably fixed in probably 5 or 6 years. And I probably won't fix another one for another 5 or 6 years unless I have to fix something to take somewhere, you know. I didn't make a video of me eating my pudding. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get some of my pudding right now. It's just talking about it's making me hungry. There's my pudding, y'all. There's my pudding. My banana pudding. Mmm. I forgot to give y'all the first bite. Y'all eat a bite. Get some of my banana pudding. Mmm. That's good, y'all. Yum, yeah, it is. It's yum, Jody. It sure is yummy. I love banana pudding. Oh, listen to y'all. Y'all talked me into eating banana pudding and cooking or fixing a banana pudding. Now I gotta eat it, and y'all are eating grapefruit. Gladys says her mouth's watering. Well, here, have a bite. I'm getting it all over the place. Have a bite, Gladys. I'll share with you. Going down the side. Jody says, I'm having a grapefruit. Well, you eat your grapefruit. I'll eat a grapefruit tomorrow. I'll eat my banana pudding today. Does anybody know how long we've been on here? I don't. Yeah, the pudding would definitely be more satisfying. Even though I love grapefruit and used to, when I kept my weight down, I would eat at least one grape or half a grapefruit every day. And I didn't put sugar or anything on it. And I know a lot of people will not eat grapefruit without putting sugar all over it. I never liked that. I just cut my grapefruit in half and I cut it out and I just eat it right out of the skin of it. I mean, I don't add nothing to it. It is delicious. Joanne, you have a bite of my banana pudding. I'll give you some too. That banana pudding is my lunch today. Because as rich as it is, I can't eat nothing else. Don't leave. You just got on, Gladys. Well, I won't leave. I can sit here and talk to people all day, but I just don't want to keep people from their job or something they've got to do. It's too hot right now to do anything in the garden. Like I said, I was out there just spreading ant poison, the granules around my house to keep them from coming in. And I was sweating. I mean, I was already getting my shirt wet. And I said, it's just too hot and humid out here right now to do anything. So I hurried up and I finished doing that. I put the ant poison back in the shed and come in the house, and I haven't been back out since. You were watching Grandma and her chickens. Yeah, I was watching Stephen this morning early too, because I woke up. I woke up because I was aching from mowing yesterday. Can you believe I went from almost not being able to walk because it hurt so bad to getting out there using a push mower mowing my yard yesterday, which took me most of the day. But I was aching just a tiny bit when I first got up. Well, it woke me up early. I mean, it was before Stephen even went live, because I got online to see if he'd went live yet, and I noticed my time on my phone, and it wasn't even 6:30 yet, so I know he wasn't on live yet. So I got offline, laid back down. I took me some ibuprofen, and by the time he went live and I went back online to see him, I had quit hurting. I was just sore, I guess from mowing yesterday. Yeah, it's been pretty hot in Texas. And it's going to get hotter because it's going to be over 100 several days next week. Only 55 degrees where you're at, Jody. That's pretty cool. I think it was about 90 degrees here yesterday. I don't really know what it's supposed to be today. Probably about the same thing. You watched the video of me making pizza? I think I made 2 different ones on making pizza. One I made like a medium crust pizza. The other one I made a real thin crust. I mean, I love pizza. I could live on pizza. I'd gain 20 pounds a week, though, if I ate pizza every day. In fact, it's about time for you to make another pizza, but I probably won't video it because I've already got 2 pizza videos on that I have published already. We're not supposed to get rain today, but we're supposed to get more rain tomorrow, I think. So I know my plants will love that as long as the bugs leave them alone. Jody says, my grands would love if I made a homemade pizza. Well, why don't you make them one? It's not that difficult. Now I got this banana pudding here and I can't leave it alone because it's so good. Love Colorado. Have a sister in Lakewood. I got a friend that moved to Colorado. They used to live here. He built a house here himself, lived here for a while, and then I even went to Colorado for a week with him when he bought property up there. He wanted me to see it. And he, after that, built a house there, and he moved, him and his mom both, to Colorado to live where he built the house. He doesn't get down here anymore. I mean, the house he used to have here, he sold, that he built, and it burnt down a couple of years ago. But I remember the long drive from Texas through the desert to get to Colorado, it was so hot. But we got to Colorado, the temperature was a lot cooler. Everything was pretty and green. I didn't like the fact of riding on the highway, though, and you could look over the side and it was just a straight drop. That terrifies me because I am tremendously afraid of heights. So I had to force myself not to look to the side out the window because it would freak me out to see how far that car could drop if he just went over a couple of feet, you know. Gladys, you want me to make another pizza video? Well, I might, but I figure, well, people don't want to see the same type of video every time. But I might make one, put different toppings on it or something. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it's about time for you to make another pizza. I could video it while I'm making it. No reason why I shouldn't, I guess. Joanne lives in Fort Collins. I don't know all the names of the little towns close by where my friend bought his property. But I do know it's close to Durango, and there was some other little town close to there. No, I forgot to notify Bloomin'. I noticed she wasn't on Stephen's live this morning, and I don't remember seeing her on Miss Helen's. I was on there just for a few minutes. But I said I don't want to pull her off of Miss Helen's if she's there to be on mine. So I forgot all about sending her a message. I don't know why she doesn't get notifications. I mean, evidently she didn't turn her notifications on. Or maybe she's got the notifications turned off on her phone or something. I don't know. I know on some people's channel, you can just hit subscribe and you turn on the notifications. Other people's channels, it's set so you can subscribe, but then you also have to separately turn on notifications or you won't be notified. You don't get notifications, Gladys? Well, you might check because on your computer, like I said, some channels, they give you the option to subscribe, and when you subscribe you also are turning on your notifications to that channel at the same time. Other channels you subscribe and then you separately have to hit the notifications button or you don't get a notification that that video is there. Okay. Oh man, this stuff is good, so good. I don't need to ever make another one for 10 years. Special needs Christian rapper what video? I don't know what you're asking, special needs Christian rapper, but we were talking about some of the people not getting notifications when a video goes live, or if a video is posted that they're subscribed or subscribed to their channel. And that's because some of the channels, you're automatically turn notifications on when you subscribe to the channel. Other channels, it gives you a separate option to turn on notifications. So you have to do it at different times. You subscribe and then you go back and hit notifications. Or you're not notified that there's a video being posted or a live is fixing to happen. I've made some Chinese food, not a whole lot. I mean, like I cook stir fry. To me, that's Chinese. I fix stir fry and I serve it on rice, and I have soy sauce and the different, stuff that you eat with the Chinese food. But I never got into it real heavy other than just stir fry. Yeah, that's YouTube for you. Now, the way I did my cabbage rolls, I don't know if all of you saw the video that I posted or published on making my cabbage rolls in a frying pan on top of the stove. That is an Asian, I think, basically the way Vietnam people make their cabbage rolls. A lot of them, they make them smaller, and they cook on fire over there. I mean, they don't usually cook on a regular stove or oven and stuff like that. They cook on an open fire, or they have a brick or concrete oven that they've built that they have to burn a fire in to get the heat to cook on. And that's one of the ways they cook their cabbage rolls, is they take a big skillet or a pot and place their cabbage rolls in it, the small ones like I made, and they put their sauce in it and then just set it back on the fire. Special needs Christian rapper, you sound like you're from Mississippi. Well, I'm from North Carolina, believe it or not. I've lived in Texas now for over 40 years, but I'm originally from North Carolina. And that's where most of my family live, is in North Carolina. That's where my dad was from. His family was from there. So I do have that southern drawl. And when I moved to Texas, the first year I lived out here, people would hear me talk. And they'd say, wait a minute, there's something different here. I said, what are you talking about? They said, well, you sound like us, but there's something different in your accent, and I can't place it. I said, oh, that's what you mean. I said, I'm from North Carolina. I said, we kind of sound like cowboys, but I'm not from Texas. And they said, that's what it is. High Point is not too far from my hometown. You ever heard of St. Helena, Burgall, Wilmington? Those areas, that's kind of where I'm from. My hometown is a little town called Atkinson, Atkinson. It's about 20-minute drive inland from Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, all that beach area. So I'm used to the ocean, not out here in Texas where everything is dry and there's no ocean. North Central Texas don't have no ocean here. We got a lake, a man-made lake that's 35 miles long. We don't have ocean. Well, it was nice that you could stop in, Joanne. I'm glad you did, and you go ahead and go about your business, because I know this is Friday. People do a lot of grocery shopping and everything else on Friday and Saturday. So you go right ahead. I probably will. I watched them the whole time last Friday. Sometimes I watch them till about an hour before they quit, and I get so sleepy I just have to go to bed. I'm sitting there on the couch watching, and I fall asleep or doze off, and finally I just say, well, I can't sit here anymore. I'm going to bed. But I started watching Miss Helen a few years ago, back when she was still doing her cement flower pots and bird baths and stuff like that. I enjoyed watching what she was doing. And I know there's a lot of people from Vietnam that do that. I've seen a lot of their videos where they make really pretty flower pots and stuff out of cement. And I thought it was real interesting. I've never tried to make one myself, but it's neat. It's a good idea. I mean, I like what they're doing. And I like what Miss Helen was doing. I hated that she had to stop. Yeah, like I said, I'll watch Danny and Steven tonight. I do that usually every Friday night. There's only once in a while that I don't get to see them. Maybe I've got other stuff I've got to do where I'm not even home. I had to go somewhere or do something. But other than that, I usually watch their show on Friday night every Friday. Thanks to Bloomin', yeah. She's been sending them some sharp shirts and stuff. You know, I have kind of lost track of Trump. I know they're trying to do everything they can do against him. They're trying to take him to court, filing charges on him and all this stuff. And I think it's a shame, because he was just trying to do what he thought was right. Yeah, they got some new shirts and stuff to wear tonight, Gladys. They've been wearing some sharp shirts. Nice hats, too. Yeah, the only thing I'm going to do the rest of the day until it cools off later this evening is try to just straighten up my house a little bit. I said if it's too hot to do anything outside, I usually try to clean house or do what I need to get done inside. Oh, they're going to have blue shirts on tonight? Oh, I got to see that. Blue is my favorite color. Blue's my favorite. Red is the next one. I mean, I like all the colors, but usually if I buy something, and if it's in blue, I'm going to get the blue one. Too Tall Rob Live. I don't think I've ever seen that handle before. I don't recognize that. Did I see Buddy today? Yeah, he came by earlier, and I got his bowl of food out. And he ate and hung around a little bit, and then he left. He's out roaming around. He might have went back home to his home, actually, where he's from. I don't know. But I can't leave his bowl of food out on the porch if he's not there eating it, because the ants will get in it. And if I leave it out there at night for him, the possum will come up on the porch, and the possum will eat his food. I opened the door one night just to check his bowl to see if he was still eating, because I needed to bring it in, and I opened the door, and there was a possum standing there. And little Buddy was there too, but that possum was right there. He was fixing to empty that bowl. I fooled him. I chased him off, and I brought that bowl in the house. I'm not feeding possum. They're going to be eating my garden, I know. If there's anything, any of those melons or squash on the ground close to where they can get hold of them, they'll be eating them. Hello to Too Tall. I don't know I don't recognize your name, so I don't know. Do you have a channel, YouTube channel? Evidently you do. You just posted a short of a raccoon in a swimming pool. I bet that's funny. I'd have got a video of that raccoon or possum that was on the porch the other night, but I didn't have my camera real close by to get it. Well, thank you, Gladys. Oh my goodness, over the years I've had raccoons, I've had possum, armadillo, you name it, skunks. They used to get under the house and have babies and would cause fleas to come in my house. So I went to the farm and ranch store that first time to find out what to do, you know. And the young guy that worked there said, well, if it was me where I live, he said, I'd just take a gun and shoot them. But he said, where you live, I wouldn't suggest you do that. So he told me to buy a live trap. And he told me how to bait it and all that. So I bought this live trap, brought it home, baited it that night. And I started catching raccoons, possum, cats. Of course, I just turned the cats loose. I didn't care about them. But if I caught a raccoon or possum or armadillo, I'd leave him in the cage. I'd put him in the trunk of my car. I'd drive about 5 miles down the highway. I'd take the whole cage out, put it on the ground, open the door, and make him run out of the cage and watch him go across the field. That's how I got rid of them. Plus, I had to reinforce the underpinning of the house so they couldn't get under the house. I mean, I don't mind them being around, but I don't want them under my house getting fleas in my house, you know, because you can't get rid of the fleas as long as they're under your house. You have to physically get rid of that animal before the fleas will go away. Ingredients from Manhattan, Kansas. What part of the country are you from in? Do we have a Manhattan, Kansas in here? I don't know who you're talking to, but I'm in north central Texas. I'm in the desert area. They didn't even have a lake here until they built a 35-mile man-made lake that was the Brazos River, but it was a real narrow river, not more than a big spring, basically, that run through here. So they dug out and rerouted water and the flow and everything, and they turned us into a 35-mile lake, which people love it. It's turned into a resort town. People come here for vacations. They come here to go fishing. And I'm sure they do a lot of places along that 35-mile stretch. Talking to me, the host of the show, yeah. Yeah, I'm in north central Texas. I'm in a little town south of Fort Worth and Dallas. And like I said, it was basically desert until they put in that man-made lake. We just had the Brazos River running through, which was a real skinny, narrow river. It's dinosaur country. I found a dinosaur print that was petrified in a rock in my backyard one time when I first started digging up for a garden. And I talked to the owner, or not the owner, but the previous owner of this house, the ones that put the house here. And they said, oh yeah, we found that rock when we dug to put the septic down. And we included it in the walkway because she asked me if it was still there. I said, yeah, but over the years it's partially covered with dirt and grass. And, but yeah, that print was still there. But it was a little baby dinosaur track that was embedded in that rock. And evidently it was where the dinosaur died and his foot was there in that section, and the rock petrified around his foot. it left the imprint of his foot there. Because just like 15 minutes south of me is Dinosaur Valley, as they call it, where they have like a dinosaur museum and that type of thing. Because, yeah, this was dinosaur country. That's why we have so many rocks and stuff. Dinosaurs used to live here. Yeah, I made Bloomin' a mod yesterday. But, you know, like she said, I probably don't need it because I'm not on that much. I don't have that many subscribers yet. But I put her in just in case. I said, you know, she doesn't even have to be at all the lives if she can't. I mean, that's fine. But I did put her in as a moderator. Why, Gladys, would you like to be one as well? I know a lot of my subscribers are mods for the Hodges and for Helen White. And I don't want to take away from their channel, but okay, well, I'll see what I can do about putting you in. Because here lately I've been going live at least once a week, haven't I? I do too, Too Tall Rob, live. I like to hear the sound of nature and all that as well. It's too hot to be on the patio, though, to do a live, to be able to hear all that, so it has to wait to a cooler time of the day or a cooler time of the year to do that. You'll always have my back, Gladys. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I haven't been live that much, so going live and having moderators and stuff like that's fairly new to me. Jody says she lives in dinosaur country too. You unearthed a woolly mammoth. Oh my God, that's unreal. Still had its tail. Yeah, that's true. It's good to have mods if you're on live very much, because you never know, you know, who you're going to get in your live chat. Especially if you get somebody in there that maybe doesn't like your channel and might try to do anything to bring your channel down. Yeah, I know. I subscribed to that. What was it? Southern Ideas or something like that. I subscribed to that already. I'm subscribed to all their channels, to Tammy and Danny, to Steven, both of his. I subscribe to Helen's. That sounds good. That you don't play good with stupid. I don't either. Well, it sounds like all my people in chat have their own channels, or a lot of them do. Too Tall Rock. I'm going to look that up too. What was the other one that I was going to look up? Well, she may be the one that left. I was going to check her channel out. I don't see her name in there now. Sure, post your link if you can. I don't mind, Jody. Jody, what's your channel? Is it under your name or what? Oh, that's something I'm learning. Only moderators can drop links in a chat during the live streams. Well, you might not be able to drop the link in, but you can type the link in. At least they can copy what you type in if they want to go to that site. That is if you want to. It's up to you. See, I've been drinking my coffee and I'm cooled off now. I'm ready to go back outside and get hot again. Jody, doesn't it let you just type in your link or the address to your channel? I had a lot of these glass mugs that were they had Coca-Cola emblem on them, and I broke all of them but one, and I had them for so many years, and I love those. They were more round than these jars, but I can stuff in these. You can get these with lids, and you can stuff in them. I put chow chow in them. I put my cowboy candy, you know, the jalapenos, the hot peppers in them. I can stuff in these jugs, and then I can reuse them to drink out of later if I want. Actually, these came in jelly. I mean, you buy jam and jellies and like strawberry preserves and stuff in them. But the lids have a seal. And you can reuse those lids at least once or twice after you empty your jar. So you can can in them just like you do any other canning jar. Put pickles in them, like I said, cowboy candy, chow chow, anything. I mean, why buy a pint jar when you can save these and reuse them? Multi-purpose jars. I'm hoping mine comes big because, you know, like I said, I didn't start out my channel to be big, but becoming big to me is meaning that I'm reaching a lot of people with stuff I've learned, tricks and, you know, things for the garden and, you know, even other stuff. I found you don't have to spray your house for bugs as long as you take the ant granules and spread them out on the ground around the edge of your house, all the way around. That keeps a lot of different insects from coming in your house, especially this time of year. Because I'm somewhat allergic to the insect sprays and stuff that you would put in your house to keep the bugs out. So anything I can use to keep from spraying an insecticide in my house, I'm going to do. I mean, and putting the ant granules out around my house is one of them. To prevent them from coming in to begin with, then I don't have to spray them after they get in here. Salt is another good thing. You can take just a regular box of salt. Doesn't matter if it's iodized or plain salt. And you know, that's cheap. You get a box of salt for like 44 cents, something like that. And just put a bead of it all the way around your house. Ants don't like it. Other bugs don't like it. And it keeps them out. And you can spray it on a lot of the weeds, like under your carport and coming up in cracks in your concrete and stuff like that. And it will literally kill the weed because they don't grow in salt. Well, I would never have thought about that too tall. To mix Listerine in 3 parts of water makes a good bug spray. Great for mosquitoes. I never would have thought about that. Never had heard anybody say that they've done that. I might try it. What can you put in your house for bugs? Well, if I find an insecticide that's not bad, I'll spray around the edge of my wall all the way around the house inside. But even better than that, if you get, if I can think of the name of it. Let me see if I can find it. Well, right now I can't find it. It's probably in the back of the cabinet over there. Boric acid is what I was trying to think of. You can get boric acid in little tablets. They're about the size of an aspirin tablet. And all you have to do is put them in a little lid or some kind of little flat container that's open. Or you can just put them on the floor. Like you can put them on against the wall under your couch, under some of your furniture, anywhere, that a small animal won't get to, like if you have a dog or cat and you don't want them to get to the poison, make sure you put it inside a cabinet, put it under furniture where they can't go, or behind furniture that they don't have access to, and the bugs are drawn to it. They start eating that tablet, and it kills them instantly almost. So I keep those out too, and the boric acid tablets kill a lot of different types of bugs, not just ants, not just roaches, but all types of creepy crawlers, as I call them. So you might try that. And sometimes I can't find it in the store. You get it usually in the garden center. So I ordered a box of it online. And it comes in a pretty good sized box with quite a few tablets. And it's not very expensive at all. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I know it wasn't too costly. And I just took them and put a few of those tablets in the back of my closet in my bedroom, and maybe in the corner, against the wall where the bed is. I'd go around in my kitchen cabinets and put it on the floor in the kitchen cabinets. I'd put some under the stove, that type of thing. I went through the whole house doing that. I promise you, you will not have a roach, you will not have ants, you will not have any creepy crawlers in your house if you got those tablets out. I had a few of them behind my washing machine, and I forgot about them whenever I called the washing machine repair guy. And of course, he had to pull the washing machine out from the wall, and his reaction when he saw those tablets was something funny. He looked at those things like, what in the world is this woman into? She's got these little pills on the ground or the floor behind the washing machine. I don't know if he thought they were some kind of drugs or what they were, but it was boric acid tablets that I purposely put back there so if any bugs crawl behind the washing machine, that they would be killed by that boric acid. Well, without me knowing it until later, he picked each one of those little tablets up and he put them in the commode because he didn't know what they were. I thought that was funny. But yeah, if you have roaches or anything like that, ants coming in your house, any type of bugs, just spread you some boric acid tablets out throughout your house. And it doesn't take too long for them to get rid of them, because sooner or later they'll eat they'll try eating that boric acid tablet, and they don't last long after they do that. And another thing I've learned, ants will come in bad if you've got anything on the outside of your house that's touching your house. Like some of my rose bushes, they'll grow big enough that maybe one of the limbs will touch the house. The ants will crawl up that limb and they'll come in the house. So I have to make sure that I keep my rose bushes trimmed so there's a space between the back of the rose bush and the house so they don't do that. My mom used to have a bad, it was bad with ants coming in her kitchen, right around her kitchen window. And she kept putting out stuff to kill them, and they kept coming in and kept coming in. And I was there one day, and I was trimming her flower bush right at the step under the window. And come to find out, that's how those ants were coming in her house. They were coming up that plant. The plant was leaning against the house, and they would crawl up the side of the house, go in the window, and come in the kitchen. Once I cut that plant back so it couldn't touch the house, the ants stopped. And she said, I don't believe it. Where'd the ants go? The ants stopped coming in. I said, Mom, it's because I trimmed that bush back. I pruned it back. And the ants were coming up the plant, so once it was cut back, they didn't have a way to travel up to get to the window. Or they didn't think to come up just from the ground up. They were coming up the plant. So if you have ant problem at your house, go around and make a check and see if any of your bushes or trees are touching your house. Because if it's touching your house, that's probably where your ants are getting in. They're coming up the tree limb and getting on the house, or they're coming up that rose bush or that flower bush or whatever it is you got that's touching the side of your house. And usually as long as you keep that plant trimmed, you won't have them coming in. Oh, really? I've heard a lot of stuff is real good to clean your cloudy headlights with. And I saw a video, I think, on one guy doing that, where he literally took bug spray and sprayed the light on his car. And when he got through with it, that light, the cover, it looked just like new. Yeah, it was a spray, off bug spray. I've never tried it, but I heard it does work. And I seen him in that video, and it worked for him. So I don't know. By the time my headlights started getting like that on my Cavalier that I was driving for 20 years, and that was about the time I think I saw that video on cleaning it with the bug spray, is when that guy rear-ended me and totaled out my car. So I had to get a new car, so I didn't worry about cleaning the lights anymore. Oh, Wilkes County boys showed up. I keep getting people coming in. Yeah. Well, y'all to know by now, the government makes rules to suit them. They don't care. If whatever the issue is going to help make money for them, they don't care who it hurts. Ozark Hillbilly. I'm doing great today, Wilkes County boy. I got out and mowed my yard yesterday. It took me most of the day, and it kind of scared me. I woke up this morning before daylight, before Stephen even went live, and my lower back was aching, and I says, oh, I've done it now. I overdid it with the lawnmower. But I got up, took several ibuprofen, laid back down and waited till Stephen started his live and watched that. And by the time I did all that, I wasn't hurting anymore. So I got up and came in here and started doing stuff, and I feel fine now. It doesn't ache or hurt or anything. I guess I finally got that disc popped back in place, so it's not been bothering me and not hurting anymore. Too Tall is a native of Missouri and born and raised in the banks of Missouri River. Central Missouri, living in Kansas is just a result of a trip to Colorado went wrong. Now, I know there's a story behind that. We might be interested to hear. Yeah, I heard about that. And he said he went in to get it checked to see what it was because he was afraid it was a poisonous spider that might get worse. But evidently it wasn't anything too serious. Yeah, I heard him talk about that. Saw him trying to run the chicken or the rooster out of the house too. That rooster was just going to move in and take residence, I reckon. Too Tall says, I stopped to visit a friend and put a roof on her house and wound up falling in love with a horse. Oh my gosh. Before I got to the end of that sentence, I thought you were going to say you fell in love with your friend, but instead it says you fell in love with a horse. Everyone don't forget to peck that like. Oh, Wilkes County boy. Bloomin said that you might want to be a moderator for my channel. She said to ask you about that. So I said I would mention it and see if you did. I know, I think I'm going to put Gladys in as one. Bloomin is in as one already. And she said she wouldn't be able to come to all the lives. And I said, that's fine. I said, I probably don't really need a moderator anyway right now. But I said it doesn't hurt to put a few in. And that was her suggestion, to get a couple in just in case. Because I've been going live about once a week so far. Too Tall says I was headed for Colorado 25 years ago. Being a moderator and having a ranch always makes me feel like a tool. So Too Tall, does that mean that you would not want to be one? You would not want to be a moderator? No, it's not good, Wilkes County boy, to have chicken doo-doo in your house. I would not want a chicken in my house. That would get kind of messy. Okay, I might put you in then too, Wilkes County boy. I'll have Bloomin, Wilkes County boy, and Gladys Pellegrino. Or I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name correctly. And like I said, I probably don't need moderators yet, but I guess according to Bloomin, it wouldn't hurt to have a couple in there just in case. Because I've only got, 15 people watching right now on my live, so. And I think all the people in here most of them are from either Helen White's channel or Steven's channel or one of the ones that we know pretty good. I mean, I've got quite a few people that have joined my channel that I've never seen the names of before. So they're new subscribers just to me. They're not people that are coming from, the other channel. Well, Jody's asking a question. I don't know. She said, do you need a laptop to be a mod? I have no idea since I've never been a mod and I've never had mods before. So I'm still learning a lot about YouTube channels. So I have no idea. Too Tall says negative, so I guess you don't need one. KB says, hello from Ohio. Hello, Kay. How are you today? Oh, that kind of rhymes. Well, good to hear. She says she's okay. I'm doing lots better. I feel great today. Feel fantastic. It's just too hot to get outside and do anything. Got to wait till later on this evening when the sun starts going down for things to cool off, or you got to get out there real early in the morning. It was pretty cool this morning, even when I was putting out the ant granules around the house, but I still started sweating like crazy. Wilkes County Boy says, no, you do not need a laptop to be a moderator. So that's good to know. Yeah, that's the reason I'm doing this inside. I love to do a live outside because people I know like to hear the birds and all this, but it's too hot right now for even the birds. They're hiding out somewhere. Oh my God, Too Tall, that sounds really good. I've never heard that combination for an apple fritter. Cheddar cheese, bacon bits, Maker's Mark whiskey, and brown sugar. Well, I'd have to skip the whiskey since I don't have any, but I could go the cheddar and the bacon and the brown sugar in with my, well, I'll have to get some apples because I don't have apples, but that sounds good because that combination is all stuff I like anyway. I'm going to have to try that. Yeah, when I have my live stream in the house, I use my laptop and my camera. And the last one I did, I didn't use my laptop. I just used my cell phone to read the comments because I couldn't get close enough to the camera to read comments on there. So I just used my cell phone, and it worked pretty good that way. But I was always holding my cell phone up to me, having to read it. Well, I have an outlet outside on my patio that I could plug into, so I have electricity out there. Linda, can you make moderators now just clicking on their names? I have no idea. When I got off my live stream the last time, it popped up asking me if I wanted to make Bloomin' a moderator, and I clicked yes. So that's how I got her in as a moderator. Other than that, I've got to check it all out, because if that doesn't happen again today, then I don't know. I mean, I could try it, but I don't know if it will work. Yeah, see, I can click on their names in the chat and it doesn't do anything. Go to channel report, remove. Add as a moderator, there it is. There, Wilkes County Boy, I just made you a moderator. And see where Gladys is. Or it should have. It told me it made you a moderator. Okay, I've got all of you in. I've got Gladys, Wilkes County boy, and who was the other one I said I was going to make? I just put you in, and I don't know who I did. I put in. I know I got Gladys and Wilkes County boy. I couldn't do it by clicking your name, but when I got up to where your name is and your comment was, there's three little dots to the right, and you can click on that and go down to the last option, and it says add as a moderator. So that's how I added them. But I could click on your name and it wouldn't do anything. But yeah, Gladys and Wilkes County boy are now moderators, or their name should show up sometime as moderator. It's not highlighted right now for some reason, but maybe the next live it'll show up. Well, I'm pretty sure if you don't have to have a laptop to be a moderator, you could do it just from a tablet. Well, your name's in anyway, so we'll see what happens with it. Yeah, that's what I did, Too Tall. I went up to where the names were, Wilkes County boy, and those three dots showed up. I clicked on the three dots, and a menu comes up giving you different options, and I went down all the way down that list to the last option where it says add that person as a moderator. So I clicked on that option, and then it said, do you want it? And I clicked yes. So that's what I did. Yeah, I see your name's highlighted now. So it takes just a few minutes for it to kick in, I guess. But I put you all in as standard mods, so you have you can hide a person's chat if they're saying something insulting or bad. Uh, I think you can block them out if you need to. You can also comment to them. Gladys's name is lighted too. Well, I've only got three in there so far. I've got Wilkes County boy, I've got Bloomin', and I've got Gladys. So if I have any problems with it, I'll kick them all out. Yeah, managing moderators getting to access your studio and do all kinds of crazy things. Only add managing moderator that you know and trust with your channel. Well, I think I kind of trust Gladys and Wilkes County boy and Bloomin' because I know them from Stephen Hodges' channel. I know them from Helen White's channel. That's the only reason I accepted them as mods for right now. And like you said, I can stop them anytime if something goes crazy with my channel. Whoa, just a little fun fact. When I was a minor, I would be put in jail for fighting in public. My dad told the chief to leave me in jail for the night to learn a lesson. 2 hours later, you would not believe who they put in the cell with me. No other than Willie Nelson. I bet you were honored to be in jail at that point, Too Tall, since you were cellmates with Willie Nelson. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better cellmate than that, could you? Well, that's pretty good. I've only got 16 people watching at this point, but I got 16 thumbs up. I think I had 19 earlier, but we lost a few people. They had stuff to do. Willie liked to smoke weed. I wouldn't doubt that. I think he's into cannabis today where they sell it. He helps market it or something. I think Dolly Parton is too, from what I understand. I guess they're out like everybody else. They want to make money on anything they can make money on. And he lost his hat to you. Does anybody know how long this video has been going on, this live? Because I didn't even look at the clock to see what time it was, but I think we've been on here long enough, don't y'all? I mean, I can stay on a while longer, but... Ashley, those moonflowers, the ones I have, are white. And when they bloom, they spread out as big as your open hand. What color are yours? Now, there's different color moonflowers. You may not have the same one I've got. But if they're seeds that I sent, they are the big white ones. Yours are tiny yellow flowers. Where did you get your seed from? Gladys says now that she's a mod, could I send her some banana pudding? Okay, I'll get it right out to you, Gladys. Yeah, see, Ashley, I don't know, something's wrong with that because I don't have anything but the big white moonflowers. So if those were the seeds that I sent, they should have been the big white ones. I don't know how they could be anything but those. I don't have any yellow ones at all. All of mine are those great big white ones. And they've come back up this year and they've already been blooming, so they're big and white. I don't know, unless they were cross-pollinated with something, but I would think they had to be cross-pollinated with another moonflower. And that's the only moonflowers I have are the big white ones. Shows 1 hour. I thought I got on about 11:30 Central Time, somewhere along in there. Maybe I'm wrong. Because it's after 1 here now. So it's probably about an hour. I don't know. Does the plant still look like the plants that I showed in my videos or my pictures of the moonflower? Because it has big leaves on it. I don't know why yours would be yellow. And I spend all my time looking down here at the laptop reading these comments instead of looking up here at the camera. I need to get a tablet that I can hang, I guess, above the camera so it'll look like I'm looking at the screen while I'm looking at the chat so I can see what they're saying. Oh, wow. Sounds like you got a wild night planned or this weekend. Oh, Sunday. Yeah, it sounds like you got a wild weekend planned, Too Tall. Yeah, I need some new subs. The last time I looked, I had like 1,613 subs. If some haven't dropped out or I haven't gained any, a few, I don't know. Well, it shows I've got 1,061, but it probably doesn't show the half ones on there. I'll look on my phone and bring up my website and see what it says. I usually check it once a day to see if I've gained any subscribers or not. Too Tall, you got you the Panda bicycle at thrift store for $100. That's pretty neat. Yeah, I've got 1,613 subscribers as right now. Tandem bicycle, not a panda. Maybe I should get a panda for the backseat. That's a good idea. Yeah, I guess I read that wrong. You can tell I don't know anything about names of different bicycles because you could have told me it was a panda bicycle and I don't know the difference. Here you go, Wilkes County Boy. Just put my link into my channel. Love you too, Ashley. Did any of your other seeds come out or did you plant all of them? I was wondering if any of the other seeds sprouted or what they did other than your moonflowers. Too Tall says my microphone committed a typo. I can type things in all the time and my spell check will change my words something awful and I don't know it till after I've hit the post button to show the comment. And then you can't get it back to change it. Okay, do that, Gladys. I'm not from New York, but my mom is originally from New York. So I spent part of my childhood growing up in New York City. My grandmother and my grandfather were from New York. I had aunts and uncles. I've got cousins living there. My brother lived there until he retired, and then he moved to Tucson, Arizona, because he said he couldn't handle the cold in New York anymore. So he went the extreme opposite. He went to where it was hot. He said, well, on hot days, he just stays in the swimming pool because they have a swimming pool to their apartment building where he lives. And he likes it there. Him and his friend moved there right after they retired, and they share expenses. And the whole apartment complex is full of a lot of retired people. Some are young couples, but most are older retired people. And they get together at the pool, he said, and have cookouts and that type of thing. They've got a laundry room in the basement, and he said they got a shelf that a lot of people, if they buy something at the grocery store, they decide they don't want to use it, or something they don't want to eat, like canned stuff, they'll put it on that shelf, and people know that that shelf is there for the grabs. Anything on that shelf is free for the taking. And they do the same thing, if they have anything that they want to give to someone or they don't want that's edible or usable, they put it on that shelf for anybody that needs it or wants it. So I think they got a pretty good atmosphere and a good situation where he lives. Friendly atmosphere, that's for sure. Gladys says she's from Brooklyn. I have a sister-in-law that lives in Brooklyn right now, because after her and my brother got married, they bought an apartment in Brooklyn. And because there you don't just rent an apartment, you buy it, just like buying a house. But then you got to pay a fee each month for upkeeps of the building and the grounds and that type of thing. And when her and my brother split up, they're still married. They never did divorce, but he's the one that moved to Tucson. He let her have the apartment to stay there and live, and he keeps that monthly upkeep payment paid for her to stay there. It's expensive to live in New York, even in Brooklyn. Helicopter qualified trauma surgeon Dr. Maggie. What part of Brooklyn they from? My grandmother used to live in Queens when she was alive. Like I said, my sister-in-law still lives in Brooklyn. I don't know what part of Brooklyn it is. I don't remember. I just know it's Brooklyn. It's on Cropsey Avenue, if you're at all familiar with where Cropsey Avenue is. I had aunts and uncles and cousins that lived out on, or nieces and nephews that lived out on Long Island. I spent the summer with my aunt and uncle when I was 13, after we moved to North Carolina from New York. And I spent the summer with them to help take care of their newborn baby, because they knew I was good with little kids. I watched my brothers a lot because I've got 3 younger brothers. It's okay, but there's a lot of people. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of people, and a lot goes on in New York. My grandmother, the part of, what was the name of the section she lived in? Something Heights. I can't remember the name of it. But she lived in an upstairs apartment over the top of a business. And when she came out her front door, came down the steps of her apartment and came out the front door, she was facing the subway trestle. So she didn't have far to go at all, just to go back up the steps to get on the platform to catch the subway train to go anywhere in New York she wanted to go. That's why she lived there, because she didn't drive a vehicle. She never drove a vehicle in her life. And that was the easiest way for her to get around in New York, was on the subway. So she chose an apartment, even though it's noisy at night, because every 15 minutes, you got a train going by and the whole building shook. She said she became used to it and she didn't even hear the train anymore. And but she said, yeah, that was more convenient for her, because she could go anywhere in New York she wanted to. All she had to do was step out her front door and get on the train. So it wasn't Heritage Heights. Oh, heck, I can't remember the name of it. I don't know what the name of it was, but it's something Heights in New York. But it was over in Queens. Busy part of a city, I know that. I know I was watching a couple of videos on cheap apartments in New York cities or micro apartments. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. They were getting like $1,000 and $2,000 a month rent on an apartment that was no bigger than a walk-in closet. Talk about prime real estate. Yeah, New York City is prime real estate if you're in the city. Oh wow, you lucked out with that, Too Tall. Have you ever been back there since you were given that property? Arlington Heights. Gladys says, I lived in Coney Island near the boardwalk and beach. I guess I was too little to remember going to the beach in New York because I was like 8 years old, something like that, when we moved back to North Carolina. I lived, I was born in North Carolina, moved to New York with my parents when I was about 3 years old, or almost 4. And then we lived up there for a few years. My mom taught my dad out of getting out of the Navy because he was career Navy. Because she told him, we've got too many kids, I need help. So he decided just to get out of the Navy after being in there for almost 13 years. And we moved back to North Carolina. I'm not familiar with Blue Ridge Highway, but like I said, I was too little to remember the beaches up there. What few times we went, but I do remember going to a lot of the parades, like the Thanksgiving parade and Christmas parades and stuff like that. My uncle Robert would always take us, me and my brothers, to the parades. I remember going to those parades with him and how much fun it was. I don't think I'll be making another video after this one today. I may make a cooking video tomorrow. This is probably going to be pretty much my video for today. This live. Because like I said, I wanted to get on here and tell people about the cabbage worms and a solution and that type of thing. So they could go get them some insecticide real quick that I suggested and maybe try it to see if they could save their plants if they know they're infested. Oh, I'm getting just got an alert. I can't believe how many alerts I get on my phone from child abductions in Texas. It seems like almost every day I get at least one or more alerts of a child abduction from the ages of like 12 to a year old. And usually they're abducted by their parent, their father, because something's going on with them and their wife, and they end up abducting the kids and take off. And I get these alerts to be on the lookout for a vehicle, and they give the description of the kid and the vehicle. They tell who the abductor is, which usually is the male, the daddy. I mean, it's awful. I'm just glad whenever they find the kids, eventually that they're all right, and at least they're abducted by one of the parents which you assume if they wanted their kid that bad, they're not going to hurt them. But still, it's bad when a couple gets in such a bad situation that one has to abduct the kids from the other one to be able to see them. I mean, it gets bad. There too, Gladys. Yeah, it's bad all over the country. I mean, I just can't believe. And it breaks my heart when you hear of a missing child that when they're found deceased. And usually they're 3, 4, 5 years old. I mean, that's heartbreaking. But most of the time, that's not an abduction by a parent. It's an abduction by some crazy person. Yeah, it gets bad when police are involved. I think Stephen even mentioned some of that on his channel this morning. Uh, One of the people in chat had mentioned something about a 4-year-old, I think, that had been abducted and they finally found them and they were okay. And Stephen got to talking about years ago when him and his mom and dad and everybody were in on a search for a missing child. Yeah, it's bad when you hear about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's bad enough to hear about something bad happening to an adult, but when you hear about someone taking a 3 or 4 or 5, 6-year-old child even, and abusing that child, and later they're found dead from the abuse and mutilation and everything else that crazy person did that abducted them, it's heartbreaking. I've often said when they find who did that to that child, they don't need to be locked in jail. They need to be taken out and they need to be done just like he did that child until he's dead. That's what I think. I think you're wasting taxpayers' money by putting a person like that in jail. Now, I may be wrong, but that's my way of looking at it. You just save people taxpayers' money by just getting rid of that person. Do the same thing to him that they did to that child. Yeah, unfortunately, too tall, that happens every day. People are they're put in jail for false accusations by someone that accused them of something, and they did it out of anger just because they want to get even with that person for some reason. Maybe it's a girlfriend and a boyfriend that split up, and maybe one of the partners don't like it because they broke up. So they do anything to to get even with that other person. They show their pain and suffering for what they feel for the breakup by accusing that other person falsely of doing things that put him in jail. And I think that's terrible. That happened to my son years and years ago with a girlfriend of his. She got to the place where she was out of control, and he decided to break up with her. Well, it was his apartment that he'd rented before he ever met her, and she'd moved in. Well, she had come and got her stuff and left. Well, later she got mad because my son broke up with her. She came to his door knocking on the door of the apartment. He opened the door and was talking to her, and she started hollering and using bad language and threatening, and she tried to hit him, and all he did was grab her wrist to block the blow because she was going to hit him. And he finally just pushed her arm out the door, and he shut the door and he locked it because he didn't want to get in a confrontation with her. He'd never hit a woman in his life. He wasn't about to start with her. Well, she got mad, and she went straight to the police department and filed an assault charge on my son, claimed he hit her. My son never hit her. She was trying to hit him. But because she couldn't hit him and he locked the door so she couldn't get in, she gets mad and files the assault charge on him. And, I knew right then that she was lying because my son, he does anything and everything if he gets in a confrontation, especially with a female. He's not going to hit her. He'd probably stand there and get hit all day, and he's not going to hit her back. So, I knew in my heart my son never hit that woman. He didn't even try to hit her. All he did was block the hit that she was trying to give him. So I know it happens. It happens all the time. Yep, that's exactly right, Too Tall. That's what you call weaponizing the police with your ill intentions. You're exactly right. She couldn't get back at him herself, so she used the police to hurt him by filing charges, and then he had to prove, well, I never hit this woman. And I don't know how she was allowed to do it. She wasn't in the hospital to show that she had been beat up or anything. She didn't have black and blue marks on her anywhere. So without proof, how could they charge him with anything? I mean, that's what they told me whenever my ex-husband was my husband, and he was real abusive. He hit me one time upside the head with one of those big surveying tape measures. It's in a metal case. He hit me so hard, and I only weighed 100 pounds, that I almost blacked out. He hit me so hard, he knocked me off my feet. I ended up in the kitchen floor, almost ready to black out. And finally I came back to, and he was saying, "Oh, babe, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Well, he already did it then. What's to be sorry about? You should be sorry enough to do something like that before you do it. Well, I went to the police station to file assault charges on him right after then. And they said, "You can't file charges on him." I said, "Why not?" "Because you're not in the hospital. You didn't go to the hospital." So, you know what I told them? I said, "Well, you know what you're telling me?" They said, "What?" I said, "If I can't file charges on him without going to the hospital to prove that I got hurt or beat." I mean, they could see on the side of my head it was swollen, my ear was bleeding, that I was hit with something by someone. But they said without proof I can't file charges. Well, I said, "Well, what you're telling me is the next time he starts hitting me, I'm going to pick up anything and everything I can get my hands on, and I'm going to hit him back. And if I don't put him in the hospital, he can't file charges on me either, can he?" And I walked out. And that's exactly what I did the next time he hit me. I didn't pick up anything to hit him. I hit him with my hands, my fist. But I hurt him so bad because I was so mad at him because I had taken it for 10 years that he left. I got home from school picking up my kids from a ball game the next day. And when we got home from that ball game, all of his personal stuff was gone. His personal truck, the boat and trailer was gone. He got a friend of his to come from work with him to help pack up his stuff, drive his company truck away so he could drive his personal truck and pull the boat trailer. And then later when he wanted me to take him back, I wouldn't, because I said, I'm not putting myself or my kids back in a situation like that. So that girl didn't go to the hospital. She didn't have hospital proof that he hit her. And there was no signs of being hit on her body. So I don't see how they allowed her to file charges on my son, but they did. And like I said, he got it straightened out, but still, the fact that he had to go through all that was unreal when he never touched her. I mean, he didn't hit her at all. Never tried to hit her. Sharon Tate, well, hello. I'm missing the Big Apple barbecue they have every year at this time. Well, I haven't been to a big barbecue anywhere in a long time. They always have a big barbecue at the firehouse in Atkinson, where I'm from. My brother's one of the firemen, and it's a volunteer fire department. And they have a big cookout every year to raise money for the fire department. And they have some good barbecue beef, barbecue chicken. I don't get any of that out here. And the fire departments here do have fish fries, I think about once a year, but I don't usually know about it till after they do it, so I don't get any of it. Gladys, you had one of those husbands? Yeah, I feel for you. And to this day, he'll tell you he never hit me. He never laid a hand on me. But my kids will tell him different because they saw it. My daughter took the baseball bat and chased him out of the house one day when he was hitting me because she was tired of seeing him beat up her mama. And he ran out the door. And she came back in the house and took that baseball bat and beat out the front of his gun cabinet. It had a glass front to it. She beat out both glass doors with that baseball bat. And she said, that's what I'm going to do to that bee's head if I ever catch him. Or she said, that's what I would have done to his head if I'd have caught him. But he ran. But yet he'll tell you he never lays a hand on me. And she knew I went to the police station that night. My son was not even barely 2 years old yet. I carried him in my arms to go in the police station. And she walked in with me. She was about 8, somewhere along in there, so she knew what was going on. But yet he'll say, well, I never did that. He knows he did. He just don't want to admit he did. Okay, Too Tall, we'll see you on the next live. It's time I got to get off of here, too. I got things to do. I got housework to do. So, like I said, I got on here to give people some advice on the cabbage worms and the squash worms and try to save their plants and that type of thing. That's why I just went ahead and did this. It was the fastest way I knew to get a video published, was just to do a live with it. So, y'all have a blessed day. I'm going to go ahead and end my video, and I'll try to catch me on my next one. Either view my videos that I post that are not live, or maybe you'll be able to catch my next live when I do one. To visit the Critter Cam, love the good folks to come by for a visit. Well, like I said, Too Tall, I'm going to go to your website and or your channel, and I'm going to check out your video, and I'm going to go to Jody Jackson's video and see what that's about when I leave here. Gladys never wants to leave. She always wants to stay in the live chat. But I can't stay all night, all afternoon, and I can't expect all these people to stay in. They got things to do. So as much as I want to keep going, I'm going to have to end it now, and we'll get back together later. So y'all have a blessed afternoon. I love each and every one of you. If you know people that have not subscribed to my channel, please, tell them about my channel. Hopefully I'll get more subscribers that way. Y'all have a blessed day. Love each and every one of you. And I'll catch you on my next live. Bye now.